Hello, thank you for listening. This is the near-death experience of Volley, and this experience occurred in 1999 and was documented on December 11th, 2017. Open quote. Hello, I am a 43-year-old male. I want to share my near-death experience with you because I really haven't told anyone about everything that I witnessed and saw while I was dead twice. When I was a kid, I was very active and never chose to sit inside and be lazy, but instead I would go outside and do something. I love sports and the outdoors. I did not do drugs, alcohol, or smoke. This pattern continued until my first heart attack at 25. The following year, I had another heart attack, and that was when I had my first NDE. I remember being in my mom's room while she was on her computer. One minute, I was talking with her, and the next, I remember being in the ambulance with the paramedics working on me. I told them I was fine and asked them what they were doing and why they were all rushing around. It was confusing, but as I was telling them I was fine, I started feeling my chest hurt and boom, I woke up again. I was standing in front of a massive building. Actually, building is not quite right, but it's difficult to describe. In front of the building were tall pillars, like those old Roman temples. The light seemed to be coming from all around, like there was no source of light because it was everywhere. The front of the building had one giant doorway. There was no door, just an open archway. As I looked at this building, my uncle, who died approximately 5 or 6 years before this, was standing beside me. He told me that I needed to go into the building, and he would walk with me. I walked with my uncle through this massive column with the huge pillars lining the entire way. A massive coliseum, with the huge pillars lining the entire way. As we were walking, we said nothing because it felt like nothing needed to be said. I was calm and didn't feel like I needed to worry at all. As I got to about the middle of this room, I heard my grandfather's voice saying, "This is not your time." We stopped, and I opened my eyes. I was in the hospital. The heart doctor put a stent in my body and said that I was lucky to be alive. I had been clinically dead for 14 minutes. I continued to be plagued with health problems over the next 10 years, during which I had more heart attacks, multiple knee surgeries, a neck fusion. All my lower back was fused. Then I had another major heart attack. This time, I woke up in a beautiful, rolling field and was standing on the edge of a large pond. As I look around, I saw that same huge pillar building on the top of the hill in the back left part of this field. There was a waterfall that seemed to be coming from nowhere that was falling into the other side of this large pond. As I looked, I had noticed that where the water was falling into the pond, there was no disturbance like splashing or ripples. It was quite beautiful. There was also a tree line on the back right side of this field that came from the right back side and came all the way out almost to the middle of this field. This tree line is important. As I looked around, I saw my uncle again. In our communication, I never saw his mouth move. He just kept that smile. It was more like his voice was put right into my head. He was smiling at me, and he said, "Hello again." I remember laughing, and he raised his arms and asked, "Do you like it?" As he referred to my surroundings, I answered, "Yes, I do." He brought one of his arms down in motion toward the pond as he said, "This is where we are going to be doing our fishing." As I looked down, I could see that I was standing about an inch off the top of the water. I looked straight down into the pond and saw large fish swimming around. Then I looked up to him, and he motioned to me to join him on the other side. He said, "There's someone waiting for you." I immediately get this feeling that ran through my whole body. The closest I can describe the feeling would be love. But with that feeling also came infinite knowledge. This knowledge was telling me that I knew exactly who was waiting for me, which made me even happier. In my life, I had excruciating pain every time I moved or sat for long periods of time. But when I was dead and on the other side, I felt none of that pain and none of that depression. I felt happy. This feeling isn't the kind of happy that's the same as I'm so happy because I got a new car or happy that Haagen-Dazs ice cream has made a new chocolate flavor. This was the kind of happy like all the happy times of my life all rolled up into a constant feeling of true happiness. When I say that we walked, walking is probably not the right word for that either. It was more like gliding. So while I was there, I felt no pain at all or did not get tired from moving or walking, gliding. I immediately knew who was waiting for me and where I needed to go. My uncle and I started walking or gliding across this field and moving toward the tree line in the back right section of this field. The trees were large, but not as large as a sequoia. It was full of fall season colored leaves. When we reached the edge of the tree line that stopped about midway through the field, we saw a house. The 2-story, beautiful house had a porch. As I walked to the corner of the house to look down the other side of the house, I noticed that the house was attached to a truck. The house was not just being pulled by the truck, but actually like the house was the bed of the truck. It was like someone could drive the truck and take the house with them. But when I saw what truck, it seemed to make sense. It was a green dually. A dually is larger than a normal pickup truck and is usually meant to pull fifth-wheel trailers. I came back to the porch of the house, went to the door, and knocked on it. I knew exactly who was going to open it. I just knew it was going to be my dad, who had passed a few years before this happened. I knew it with every part of my being. But before he got to open the door, I heard another familiar voice behind me. It was my grandfather, who had passed around the same time as my dad did. He was the same grandfather who pulled me from there the last time I died. This time, he seemed almost, I can't say angry because it was not anger, but concerned. It was like being a child doing something dangerous, and my parents ran over and held me, saying, "Never do that again. Do you know how dangerous that is? We could have lost you." It's a concerned scolding, I guess is the best way to put it. Anyway, I didn't see him, but that's the way his voice sounded. He said this time, not speaking to me, but sounding like he was speaking to his son, my uncle. He scolded me. "He is not done yet. He has to go back." I felt my grandfather's hand grab my arm as I was pulled up. Then my eyes opened, and I was lying on a hospital bed with nurses and doctors standing over me. I had a few follow-up appointments with the heart doctor, who was the doctor that was standing over me when I woke up. He said, "Mr. B, you are the luckiest man I've seen." I figured he was going to tell me because you are here and to change your diet, etc., but no. He told me that I was clinically dead for 27 minutes and that they had been working on me the whole time. He said that he had put down the defibrillator and said, "I'm calling it." That means they were stopping their attempts to bring me back to life. He continues by saying, "I put the paddles down, looked up at the clock, and said, 'Mark down the time of death.'" As he was trying to say the word death, the heart monitor beeped once. He said, "Huh? Well, let's try that one more shock." As they shocked me one more time, my eyes popped wide open. Looking around the room and trying to move around, I heard a nurse say, "Oh my God," and another said, "He must have a guardian angel looking over him." He also told me that they had shocked me with the defibrillator over 13 times. I had the burns on my chest to prove it. I have been to the same place twice after dying. I saw the same person greet me both times. I was pulled from that place twice by the same person. Each time was not identical, so it wasn't like my brain was trying to show me the same thing twice. It showed me exactly where I was going when I do happen to die. It also showed me that I have led a good life, because if I hadn't, I'm sure that experience would have been a whole lot different. The first time I died, I believed that the hallway of pillars that I was walking down was bringing me to someone very important. But the second time, where I was going to see my dad, the first time felt different, as in it felt more important. My NDE was real. Despite what naysayers might say, my opinion cannot be changed. One more thing. I am looking for a talented artist that can draw what I saw both times I died. I don't have any money to pay this person, but I will greatly appreciate it. I expect it to take a tries unless there is a way with the first artist to make real-time modifications. End quote. What a great story of Volley. And I bet you that feeling knowing that that was your dad in that house on the back of that truck, that was pretty cool. There are some questions. Rating your consciousness, your level of consciousness. Answer, while I was there, I had no pain. I was able to see perfectly, even though I wasn't wearing glasses. Colors were so much more colorful. I was able to feel love and know things without contact and without being told. Question, did time seem to speed up or slow down? Answer, while I was there, it felt like I had been there for hours at least, but I was only clinically dead for 14 minutes the first time and 27 minutes the second time. Question, comparing your vision. Answer, my vision was much clearer. Everything seemed like it was in HD vision. Question, did you encounter or become aware of any deceased or alive beings? Answer, yes. I saw my Uncle Reggie both times, who had passed away when I was younger. I had a knowledge of going to see my dad, who had passed when I passed, and I heard and felt the touch of my grandfather, who had passed. All people that I saw, heard, or had knowledge of had passed away before my two NDEs. Question, did you see an unearthly light? Answer, yes. It was everywhere, coming from all directions. There were no shadows. There was no cold or hot temperature. It was perfect. Question, what emotions did you feel during the experience? Answer, emotions were heightened. Love was so much more than what we know here. I felt happiness, welcomed, surprise, and overwhelmed. Question, did you suddenly seem to understand everything? Answer, I can't explain this. This was the hardest thing to try and explain. I can't even try. Question, what importance did you place on your religious/spiritual life prior to your experience? Answer, not important to me. Question, what was your religion prior to the experience? Answer, unaffiliated, nothing in particular. I felt something like there was a higher being, but did not point at one religion or the other. Question, have your religious practices changed since your experience? Answer, yes. I study and read the Bible very often and pray to Jesus every morning and every night. Question, what importance do you place in your religious/spiritual life after your experience? Answer, greatly important to me. Question, what is your religion now? Answer, Christian. I know that Jesus was waiting for me and still is. My grandfather pulled me back twice, and I know for sure the first time I was going to see Jesus. Question, did your experience include features consistent with your earthly belief? Answer, consistent and inconsistent. I knew there was something and someone bigger, but I wasn't 100% sure until these NDEs happened. Question, did you have a change in your values and beliefs because of your experience? Answer, yes. I know for sure that God is waiting for us all. I wasn't sure before. I know for a fact now that Jesus is waiting to embrace me. Question, did you encounter or become aware of any beings who previously lived on Earth who are described by name in religions? Answer, yes. All I can say is during my first NDE, while I was walking through the hall with the pillars, the feeling I had, which was more than a feeling, it was more of a knowledge that was given to me. I was on my way to see Jesus. Question, during your experience, did you gain special knowledge or information about your purpose? Answer, yes. I know just from what I saw that there's something after we die, and it is so beautiful. I have led a good life, that I will be in that love and beauty someday. We all can. Question, do you believe in an afterlife after your experience? Answer, an afterlife definitely exists, yes. I was being taken to who I believe was Jesus, and both times I was in a place that was so beautiful, it was hard for me to put into words. During my second NDE, I was going to see my dad who had passed. He was living in a house that was attached to a truck. That was his dream truck that he owned before I was born. The house didn't seem familiar, but if I had to guess what kind of house my dad would live in, knowing him my whole life, he would have chosen that kind of house. Question, during your experience, did you gain information about life's difficulties, challenges, and hardships? Answer, uncertain. The only thing I can say to this was that when my grandfather pulled me out during the second NDE, he said, he's not done yet. He has to go back. And the first NDE, it's not his time. But I was not told what it was that I had to do. Question, during your experience, did you gain information about love? Answer, uncertain. When I was there, love is so much more of a deeper feeling than it is here. It is so hard to explain. It's so complete. I don't know why I said complete, but it seems like the right word for it. Question, how accurately do you remember the experience in comparison to other life events that happened around the same time? Answer, I have a spotty memory of before and after both NDEs, but both NDEs are clear. Question, no psychic, non-ordinary or special gifts because of the experience? Answer, are there one or several parts of your experience that are especially meaningful or significant to you? Answer, both times I died, my Uncle Reggie was there to greet me. I know my dad and my grandfather were there also waiting for me. I felt and knew that Jesus was there to welcome me. Question, have you ever shared this experience with others? Answer, uncertain. Only a few people. I'm not sure how people would react to this in this day and age. Question, what do you believe about the reality of your experience? Answer, experience was real. No words in any language can explain the exact events that happened. Even today as I write this, I can't believe that it happened and can't believe I saw what I did. The experience was so real that it is imprinted into my mind. Question, is there anything else you would like to add about your experience? Answer, it was real. No one can tell me otherwise. No scientific explanation could ever explain or take away those events. End question, end quote. Thank you, Volley. And your definition of love, I thought, was really good, and the happiness all wrapped up in your life, and that's the feeling. I thought that was pretty neat too. And your dad struck that green dually with the house on the back, and I'm sure it's like super big as you walk in the door. Thank you, Volley, and thank everybody for listening. Have a great day.